Hi guys, I'm Dallas Ryan, and today we're going to rank the past 15 Super Bowl halftime shows. I created a tier list of the past 15 halftime shows with 5 different categories. The top category being Michael Jackson and Prince level. Michael Jackson and Prince are widely considered to have the 2 greatest halftime shows of all time, and these performances are right on that level if you ask me. The main event, like the title says, it's the main event. This performance is the reason why people are tuning into the Super Bowl. It's not because of the game, it's not because of the commercials, it's because of these halftime shows. I rewatch it every year. Every Super Bowl weekend, I rewatch past halftime shows. And these are the ones that I rewatch every year, but they're just not on the same level as the other 2 categories. One and done. Yeah, I am watching you once and then never again. I forgot to preference this, but I did rewatch all 15 of these performances before making this video, so they are all fresh in my mind. And some of them I will probably never watch again. And the bottom category is, I was gonna have it say turn his TV off, and then I decided to have it say change the channel. So we're actually gonna just do change the channel. Change the channel. And this is for the performances that you look at and think, wow, this is garbage. And trust me, there are a couple that belong in this category. And we'll get to one of them really quick. Now that I've gone through all 5 categories, let's go into the ranking. All right. Now let's do this. We are not starting off strong in this list because in 2011, the halftime show was done by the Black Eyed Peas. This was the NFL's attempt to make the halftime show more appealing to younger audiences because in the years before this, it was mainly just dad music like the Rolling Stones and The Who, which are great, but starting this year, they wanted to focus on more current artists. And the Black Eyed Peas were just not a great way to start that off. Here's the thing, I do like the Black Eyed Peas, but they just don't sound good live. They also had some microphone issues at the beginning of this performance, like you literally couldn't hear them at first. And Fergie was just over singing like she usually does. And it doesn't work because Fergie is not a legendary vocalist like Christina Aguilera or Mariah Carey. So all you hear is just like screeching. Especially when she tried to sing Sweet Child of Mine with Slash. It was a dumpster fire. Usher was a guest performer in this, and I'd say that was the best part of this whole halftime show. But not even Usher can save the Black Eyed Peas from going in Change the Channel. Yeah, not a great way to start this video off, but it does get better, I promise. It gets immediately better actually, because in 2012, the halftime show was done by Madonna, and yeah, that's how you do it. Madonna is a legendary performer who appeals to people of all ages. She starts off with Vogue, ends with Like a Prayer. She does pretty good choreography for someone her age. I believe she was around 50 when she did this. I have to say though, her musical guests for her halftime show are so dated. Like, you can tell what year this is just based on the guest performers. Cause 3 out of 4 of them you look at and think, oh, I remember them. It's CeeLo Green, MIA, LMFAO, and Nicki Minaj. And it's safe to say that Nicki's the only one that you really hear about still. And that's not a bad thing. I was just watching this and thinking, oh my gosh, this is so 2012. And I lived for it because only at the Super Bowl can you see Madonna performing Sexy and I Know It. I love this performance. I think it's the first one that I watched live. As far as I can remember at least, I don't think I watched Black Eyed Peas when it first aired. And it is one that I rewatch every single year and will continue to rewatch until I die. Now, let's take a moment because this next one is legendary. I'm telling you guys right now, it's gonna go in Michael Jackson and Prince level because this artist in general is on the same level as Michael Jackson and Prince. Of course, it's Beyoncé, and let's just put her right there right now. And I don't know if any performance is ever gonna be better than this. I mean, what can I say? It's Beyoncé. Her vocals were hitting, the choreography was hitting, Destiny's Child came on stage. I used to watch her singing Halo at the Super Bowl on repeat because it just sounds so good. I love Beyoncé, in case you couldn't tell. If you watched one of my recent videos where I ranked the past 15 Album of the Year winners at the Grammys, you know I love Beyoncé. I love her more than I love most celebrities. And the thing is, she did this halftime show before any of her best albums were out, and this is still the greatest of all time. Because think of it, self-titled, Lemonade, Renaissance, and Cowboy Carter, none of them were out yet. And this is still the greatest of all time. Oh my God, I'm thinking about it right now. I'm gonna rewatch it after this. And let's just go on because I can just ramble on about Beyoncé for hours. Spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about her again later. But until then, let's go on to the next year, 2014, which was done by Bruno Mars. Here's the thing. I think he did the halftime show way too early. For reference, Bruno only had 2 albums out at the time, while all the other headliners we're going to talk about had at least 3. And I just don't think he was that far along in his music career to warrant being the headliner for the Super Bowl. It would kind of be like, who can I say without getting canceled? Olivia Rodrigo. I love Olivia Rodrigo. I can never say her name right. That's my own thing because I can never say anything right. But imagine if Olivia did the Super Bowl. She's a great singer, but she doesn't have the catalog big enough to do it. In my opinion, at least. You can be mad about that. I don't care. But that's how I feel about Bruno Mars doing it in 2014. It's just, was he that big in 2014? I don't think he was as big as everyone else was when they did the Super Bowl. He also wasn't bad at all. He just wasn't super memorable. And before I rewatched all these performances for this video, I literally couldn't remember a single thing about his halftime show. So I think it's no surprise that I'm gonna put this in one and done. Will I ever rewatch this one? Probably not. All right, that's enough negativity for now. Let's go on to 2015, which was done by Katy Perry. I have a lot to say about this one in a very good way. We have the iconic Left Shark who really didn't know the choreography. They were just like, that. The musical guests were Lenny Kravitz and Missy Elliott, who were both amazing. I honestly can't pick my favorite part about his performance because it's all amazing. And this is a perfect example of an artist doing Super Bowl at the right time. Out of all the pop stars in early 2015, Katy Perry was definitely the one to beat. And I think this is the greatest moment of her entire career, if I'm being honest. Say what you want about Katy Perry now, but you can't deny how great this performance is. And I'm gonna have to put this on Michael Jackson and Prince level, because Katy really did that. And the following year was also an amazing halftime show. The main headliner was Coldplay, with the musical guests being Beyoncé and Bruno Mars. And remember how I said I think Bruno did the halftime show way too early in 2014? This performance showed how much he grew in the past 2 years. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of his music, Bruno's dancing is incredible in this. Uptown Funk is also just a really good song for the Super Bowl. Coldplay is also one of my favorite bands. I'm seeing them in June. And Chris Martin's live vocals are just so underrated. And of course, we have Beyoncé, who, it's Beyoncé. She performed Formation, which just came out like a day or two before the Super Bowl. And I'm recording this the day before the Cowboy Carter tickets go on sale, so fingers crossed I'm able to get some, because if I don't see Beyoncé before I die, I will literally cry. I got the tickets and I'm so excited. The only thing I wish I could change about this halftime show is I wish it was dark outside when they performed this. Coldplay uses a lot of lights in their live performances, and this would have been really good to see at the Super Bowl. That is literally the only thing I would have changed about this halftime show. I literally got chills an hour ago when I watched all of them perform Up and Up together. And this is another one that I'm gonna put in Michael Jackson and Prince level. I'm gonna put it right above Katy Perry, but right below Beyoncé. Yes, Beyoncé is currently the top 2. I'm biased, deal with it. 2017 was another amazing year for the halftime show. Lady Gaga was the headliner, and she killed this performance. She didn't have any musical guests, which she really didn't need any, because Lady Gaga has so many hits that she doesn't need anyone with her. Poker Face, Just Dance, Bad Romance, Telephone, Born This Way, all of them were in this performance. I remember for just a second thinking when she did Telephone, like, oh my gosh, she's gonna bring out Beyoncé. But then I remembered that Beyoncé was currently pregnant with her twins and literally dropped out of Coachella because she's pregnant with twins. So her performing at the halftime show for the 3rd time was just a little delusional dream I had for a second. Anyways, off topic. This is one of those performances I think of when I think, what's one of the greatest halftime shows of all time? It's Lady Gaga. It will always be Lady Gaga, and she's gonna go right between Beyoncé and Beyoncé. I love these two. Will they ever perform Telephone live together? Probably not, but the world can dream. They can also dream of a better halftime show than the one we got in 2018. Justin Timberlake was the headliner, and here's the thing, I do love some of his songs, but I don't think Justin Timberlake was someone that people were wanting to do the halftime show after his controversy with Janet Jackson. For those who don't know, Justin revealed Janet's breasts on live TV, and she got all the hate for it, even though he's literally the one that ripped her top. And if they were gonna bring either of those two back to do the halftime show, it should have been Janet instead of Justin. But even that controversy aside, this performance was just bland. Because Justin is a good dancer, but he just had no energy that night. Cause how are you gonna sing a song called Sexy Back and have no life in you when you do it? He also started his performance with his song Filthy, which was a brand new song at the time. And that song is pretty bad. It's a terrible song, and I get why it was first, because oh, this is the new song, go stream it after this. But it's garbage, I'm sorry, it is a terrible song. And when you're starting your performance with a bad song, you're just losing people's attention already. And the best part about this halftime show wasn't even Justin. It was the Prince tribute. And you know what's bad? When the best part of your halftime show is a recording of a pre-existing performance. It was bad. It was bad. This isn't terrible, it's just boring, which is arguably worse. So I'm gonna put you in Change the Channel. I don't know what's worse, him or the Black Eyed Peas. Oh my gosh. I really don't know. But I do know that they are both better than our next performer, which was Maroon 5 in 2019. And I'm just gonna put you immediately at the very bottom. The 2019 halftime show was a very controversial one because they were struggling to get anybody to do it. I have a whole video posted about artists who said no to the Super Bowl if you want to watch it. But artists like Rihanna and Pink said no in support of Colin Kaepernick, who at the time was protesting police brutality. So the NFL was struggling to get anybody to do the halftime show. And Maroon 5 is probably the safest choice in the world because Maroon 5 in general is just very like, this is a band, if that makes sense. Their music isn't bad. It's not jaw-droppingly amazing. It's just safe. Adam Levine's live vocals that night, though, were pretty bad. They also attempted to do a SpongeBob tribute because the creator of the show had passed away recently. And it was literally just a clip from the Band Geeks episode introducing Travis Scott. And I love Travis Scott's music, but even he was just eh. They also had Big Boy from Outkast, who was also just there. And you know who really was the best performer at this halftime show? A random woman in a gospel choir who came out on stage at one point. And if some nameless woman was the best part of this whole show, you know it's not good. When I was rewatching this performance, the whole time I was thinking, oh my God, it's worse than I remember. It's just cringy. It's terrible. It's everything that was wrong with Justin Timberlake and the Black Eyed Peas are in this performance. Not great vocals, pretty boring stage presence. It also showed that the NFL was struggling to get guest performers because Maroon 5 did Girls Like You and Moves Like Jagger, which feature Cardi B and Christina Aguilera, and neither of them were there. And Maroon 5 at the halftime show was kind of like the opposite of Bruno Mars. I think they did this like 5 years too late. Like have Maroon 5 do it in 2014 and Bruno Mars do it in 2019. That would have greatly improved both of those performances. Though I actually don't know if Maroon 5 could have improved in any way. It's just not good. I'm sorry. It's garbage. But on the bright side, it's the last bad performance that we're going to talk about in this video. From this point on, all of them are pretty good. Moving into a new decade, in 2020, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez did the halftime show. I love this performance. And let's be clear, nobody's favorite artist is Jennifer Lopez. I just want to say that right now. But that woman danced and lip-synced her butt off. When the pandemic hit in 2020, I rewatched this performance so many times because it's just that good. J Balvin and Bad Bunny were the guest performers, which I really did enjoy. I'd personally love to see Bad Bunny do the halftime show on his own someday. And performances like this that appeal more to a Latin audience give me hope of that. I really want to put this in Michael Jackson and Prince level because I really do think it's that good, but I haven't given the main event any love yet, so I'm going to put it right there. Nah, who am I kidding? This is my video. I can do what I want. We're going to put you actually right there. It's just where it belongs. What can I say? But I promise something is going to go in the main event category. I promise. I'll just spoil it. The next one is going in there. In 2021, The Weeknd did the halftime show, and here's the thing. This was the only halftime show that was limited because of the pandemic. And rewatching this, it's very clear that The Weeknd didn't have the same options as all the other performers. This featured no musical guests, which I feel like if it was done now, it would probably have Daft Punk and Ariana Grande. But the man still delivered because when you sound like that, you don't really need to rely on much. The dancers wore masks, but they were able to make it work by having their faces all bandaged up. And if The Weeknd did the Super Bowl in any other year, I probably would have put him in the top category. But the fact that he was still able to deliver a performance on that level despite what was going on in the world, it just shows how talented that man is. The world was back to normal in 2022, and this halftime show is just... When the headliners were announced as Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar, I actually thought it was fake. Like, I saw that picture of all 5 of them together and thought, no way, this is Photoshop, this can't be true. And it was everything I wanted it to be. All 5 of them are amazing artists on their own, but the 5 of them coming together at this time was everything that I needed. This is also the one halftime show that everyone in my family can agree was amazing. Whether you're 15 or 75, we all love this performance. And I always get excited to rewatch this performance every year. So we're gonna put this as our runner-up in Michael Jackson and Prince level. And this is definitely, in my opinion, the greatest halftime show that we've gotten in this decade so far. Will anything top it in the next couple years? I guess only time will tell. So I just realized that these next 2 are out of order. It's supposed to be Rihanna and then Usher. I remember everyone being so excited when Rihanna was announced as the headliner because it gave us hope that we were finally going to get a new album from her, which at the time hadn't happened in 7 years. Like, I remember hearing rumors like, oh, Rihanna's going to announce an album and a tour right after the Super Bowl. And she did announce something at the halftime show, but it wasn't a new album. It was that she was pregnant with her second child. And I remember during that whole halftime show, my family and I are all looking at each other like, is she pregnant again? Like, is she not? Because I know you're not supposed to assume that a woman's pregnant, but She was very clearly pregnant. But anyways, let's talk about the performance itself. I've heard a lot of people say that they didn't like this halftime show, especially because there's a lot of notable songs that Rihanna just didn't do. But I just think that just shows how big of an artist Rihanna truly is if there's a whole list of songs that she didn't do. She didn't do Don't Stop the Music, she didn't do S&M, she didn't do SOS. Rihanna could do the halftime show all over again with just songs that she didn't do the first time. And it would still be great. I loved this performance. I should have said that earlier. I loved it. She didn't have any guests with her unless you want to count her baby. I thought Jay-Z was going to go on stage with her at one point, but he didn't. And despite clearly being limited physically because she was pregnant, I still think Rihanna did a very good job. Only Rihanna can go 7 years without releasing an album and then do the Super Bowl. Who else can do that? Who? I guess Beyoncé could. I'm gonna put Rihanna on the very top of the main event. Alright, now for our second to last halftime show, which was performed by Usher in 2024. And I'm not gonna lie, when Usher was announced as the headliner, I was excited, but I was also a little nervous. I was thinking, yes, Usher does deserve to do the halftime show, but maybe he should have done it 10 years ago. But all those worries were immediately gone the second he started performing. Because even in his 40s, Usher still has it. That man dances better than most men in music right now. All of his songs were classics like Burn and Yeah. Of course, Lil Jon and Ludacris were guest performers, and this performance was just straight up a great time. The only bad thing about it, you know what it is, was Alicia Keys being off pitch at the very beginning of her performance. Because as soon as the camera went to her, all you hear is, some people. She was great for the rest of If I Ain't Got You and My Boo, but just that one part she messed up at. But they fixed that in post-production. If you watch that performance on YouTube, her voice sounds perfect. But we all remember how she really sounded. Usher also danced in skates at one point, which was very impressive because I can't even stand in skates. I will fall immediately. And it's definitely a halftime show that I'll rewatch every year when the Super Bowl comes around. Alright, we've made it to our last halftime show, which just happened like 2 days ago. At least it happened 2 days ago at the time of recording this. I don't know when I'm gonna have this up. Kendrick Lamar's halftime show is now the most watched one of all time. Finally, something surpassed Michael Jackson's halftime show, which held that record for 30 years. This was amazing to watch, except of course if you're Drake. The whole crowd screamed A minor. He had Serena Williams dancing, who, for those who don't know, previously dated Drake. I lived for Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam. SZA was a very obvious guest performer. Even if it wasn't previously announced, I'm pretty sure most of us could have guessed like, oh yeah, SZA's gonna be there. I wish she performed her own song though, like Saturn or Kill Bill. But that's really my only complaint. Kendrick performing Humble in the middle of an American flag was just... Kendrick Lamar is quite possibly my favorite rapper of all time. And I'm hoping that in the future we get more rappers doing the halftime show as the main headliner instead of just being a guest performer. Don't know if I want to put it in Michael Jackson and Prince level just because it could be the recency bias. So I'm going to put it on the very top of the main event. Let's see, is there anything I would change about this ranking? No, it looks all right to me. But I know that everybody has their own opinions, so I want you to let me know in the comments what you agree with, what you disagree with, and which one of these halftime shows is your favorite, because I honestly don't know if I'm ever going to love any of them as much as I love Beyonce's. And if you guys like my ranking videos, I have 3 or 4 others posted on my channel for you to watch. Also, let me know what else you'd like me to put in a tier list, because I really do like doing these videos. They're fun and a good way for me to voice my opinion about pop culture, so I definitely would love to do more of these. I'm going to go rewatch some of these performances now, so I'll see you guys in the next video.